r/ask Reddit. What was the weirdest rule you had to follow in school? When I was in high school, the phrase epic fail was a thing. One of my teachers became sick of it and banned it. It was quickly replaced with catastrophic error. In 7th grade, my Lang and Lit teacher tried to get us to stop saying shut up, and somebody came up with an alternative. Be quiet with a passion. It quickly became a very popular thing to say. When I was like 6, my mom wouldn't let me say shut up. So being a 6-year-old, I started using a new phrase I had at school. Duck off. My dad kicked the duck out of my ass that day. And you've clearly learned your lesson about that word. Way back in elementary school, we weren't allowed to walk around the school in groups larger than 3 because it intimidated the primary grades. Like ducking what? I picture a bunch of 4th graders in jeans and leather jackets snapping while swaying side to side looking for some trouble. Tunnel snakes rule. They didn't allow the boys to have door on the bathroom stalls in high school. They let teachers use those bathrooms. Nothing like walking in on your 300 pounds history teacher dropping a deuce. The same rule was enacted in my high school for 2 weeks. It had to stop after a large group of boys would get together during class and wander from bathroom to bathroom finding people who were taking a poop and then yell, clap, cheer them on for pooping. In the girls' room, if other girls heard you pooping, you'd be considered gross and they'd giggle at you and say rude things under their breath. Cause you know, teenage girls apparently aren't humans with normal body functions. My school dates back to the 13th century, so we had some archaic rules still floating around. My personal favorite was that the head boy gained the right to grow facial hair and graze his sheep on the headmaster's lawn. Whoa, that's pretty generous that the headmaster shares his lawn. He's just doing it for the free sheep shit fertilizer. No band shirts at my Christian school, but the only ones that would be recognized were Christian bands, so you could get away with almost anything else. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Hey, that into cooking? Would love to see how a Bad Religion shirt got handled. In middle school, we weren't allowed to clap during assemblies because the vice principal thought it was too disruptive. We could only do jazz hands. This seems like a rule that was made up just because it was secretly hilarious to watch a room full of teenagers do simultaneous jazz hands with deadpan face expressions. Plausible. My school did that too. The principal called it a silent cheer. We made fun of it so much that even when the staff stopped caring about if we clapped or not, most of us would silent cheer sarcastically. I had severe kidney problems when I was in secondary school. The rule was that when we were in the yard, you couldn't leave the yard until break lunch was over. Like they literally locked the gates to stop you from leaving once in the yard. I had multiple arguments with teachers for not letting me go to the toilet, then getting beached at in classes for asking to go or being late. Why would you prevent kids from going to the toilet, especially during breaks? When else are you supposed to go? Just piss in the yard. That'll teach them. Or tell your parents to make an official complaint. Things like denying bathroom access can get people in serious trouble. There was silent time in the lunchroom in Catholic elementary school at the beginning of lunch, ostensibly for prayers grace. I remember sneezing due to allergies and having to miss recess. Never forgave those ducking nuns. God is merciful, but humans on the other hand. No same-sex hugging. Really weird rule. Apparently some kid got sick, and their parent blamed same-sex hugging. My high school went the other way. No heterosexual hugging. They were scared shitless to say anything to the known homosexual couples though. Couldn't dance, show our shoulders, or play games on school campus. School dances were sit-down meals instead, as we were not allowed to dance. God is against dancing apparently. Are you from the town in Footloose? LOL. Seriously though, why even host a school dance if you aren't going to allow dancing? They weren't called that, but we all know that they are called school dances at regular schools. Also, one was called prom, and prom you are meant to dance, just not at this school. No running in the schoolyard or playground during recess or lunch. How TF do you expect to stop 500 children from running while they're out there playing? I had the opposite. Run as much as you want, but don't stay still. Monitors bothered me so much with that. I didn't want to move too much when the ground was in ice because once a kid was sliding a patch of ice, bumped in my legs and made me fall pretty hard on my head. I ended up in the hospital for a neck injury. I was in pain for 2 weeks. And now I hurt my neck very easily. It's not like I was fat or didn't move around every other time. Some teachers insisting that the bell does not mean you are dismissed. Beach please. That's exactly what that means. Even worse, some of my teachers would hold students after the bell as a way of punishment. It honestly sucked having to explain why I was late to the next class every time that happened. Late to class. Well, you can spend the time you missed here after class. Then you get stuck in a loop. In secondary school, high school, we were forced to leave the school in full uniform at the end of the school, meaning no jackets unless you were out of the main gates, which are very far outdoors, so if it was raining you were ducked. Thank God that rule only lasted 2 weeks. It always amazes me how little foresight rule makers have with things like dress code. My school doesn't allow non-school jackets, despite the fact that it can get surprisingly cold for a subtropical area, and the only school jackets are thin fleeces that do nothing if you were cold already. Ducking infuriating if you actually lost yours. My school tried this until they realized that it rains 364 days of the year here, and they started to get complaints about kids being soaked because they couldn't buy the school coat. We had a hallway only for 6th graders in middle school. It was really strange because it was in the middle of the entire school, but if any teachers found you there, you were sent to the principal's office. That reminds me of my middle school. It was 6th 8th grade, and the school was 3 floors. Top for 6th grades, middle for 8th graders, bottom for 7th. You had to stick to your level, besides the cafeteria and gym of course, which were all on the middle floor. Because of gang affiliations, we were banned from wearing 3 items of red or blue. Things got a bit hairy on school spirit days, where they encouraged us to wear our school colors, red, white and blue. The 6-inch rule. We weren't allowed within 6 inches of another person. We aren't American. We don't use inches. How could you stop hundreds of students from being close proximity to each other? You're making a rule for adolescent teenagers, called the 6-inch rule. Hilarity ensues. It only takes one girl to stand a couple of inches from someone, and when questioned say, "But miss, he told me this was 6 inches." My high school started to do a school shooter drill twice a semester my senior year. They had a dude come in the front door during lunch, blow an air horn and shout, "This is a shooter drill. Run." He had a water gun and would shoot kids with it and then tell them they had been killed. Me and my friends casually finished our lunch as he shot us, then left out the kitchen side door to leave the building. Half the senior class ended up leaving as they had this guy go through half the school and through the freshman center over the course of half an hour. It was pretty ridiculous and happened several times, usually during lunch. This actually kinda sounds like fun. Imagine it breaking out into a whole water gun fight between the dude and the seniors. That would have been the best senior prank. One day, a group of seniors pull out their own water guns and take him out. It had probably cost a suspension and an assembly on gun safety, but hey. Not really a rule. More of a if this isn't illegal, then it should be sort of think. Someone emptied all the soap in the boys' bathroom onto the floor my freshman year, and the school retaliated by leaving the dispensers empty for the next 4 years. It was disgusting. Travel soap kept in my bag through high school. We had a lesson about how fire needed oxygen to continue burning. So, they said a fire would eventually go out if in a contained room with no extra oxygen. Our teacher then assigned a different student every other week to be in charge of making sure all the windows were closed before leaving if there was a fire. But thankfully, we never had an actual fire. Oh shit, a fire. I'm ducking out of here. Everyone out except Jimmy. Get the windows, Jimmy. The fire alarm doesn't dismiss you, I dismiss you. From outside. In elementary school we were not allowed to stand in circles because standing in circles leads to the gang life. Little did they know that us real thugs prefer gang banging in octagons. No high fives. In fact, no contact with one another whatsoever. This was in middle school. The staff was tired of watching kids groping each other, I imagine. I've told this story before, And 20 years after the fact I'm still not happy about this. In any case, when I started high school the entire school was open campus for lunch. That year, however, some of the sophomores were acting up off campus, so our principal, in his infinite wisdom, decided that starting the next school year it would be open campus only for juniors and seniors. Think about this, the sophomores, who caused the trouble, who then became juniors and therefore this rule didn't apply to, weren't punished, but us freshmen, who became sophomores and weren't the ones causing the problems, were punished for what they did. So, I had open campus my freshman, junior, and senior years. It was closed my sophomore year. Still think that was unfair. Maybe they thought it was that age group that would cause all the trouble? That's still some bullshit though. That would piss me off. No stomping on soda cans laying on their side and walking around with them attached to your shoes. Given how specific this is, I feel like it might be justified. My senior year of high school, the kids used to skip class by going to use a bathroom and never come back in hopes the teacher didn't notice they left. To try and stop this they made us sign a timeout log. Not that weird, right? Well, when that eventually did nothing to stop kids skipping, they started to make us carry around trackers to monitor our locations. They even would come and check on us if we were standing still anywhere outside of class for more than 5 minutes. Eventually the kids rejected Big Brother and just smashed them all at the same time. Cost too much to replace and they couldn't punish us all. In my middle school, students weren't allowed to wear any clothing with a logo, symbol, or image, and I have no idea why. Bullying. Easy to abuse somebody for having shit brands. No brands. No issue. In theory. In practice a ball ache to police. Nobody likes a tattletale. Well, nobody likes a bully either. Punishing being a tattletale is the stupidest ducking thing. I had a substitute teacher tell me this in first grade, so I just had to sit at my desk in defeat with my pencil that the kid next to me broke. In college, we had a professor who assigned seats. She claimed she did it to remember our names, but she never remembered our names. We had to ask to remove our jackets in class. Not overly weird, but I went to a language school and in our French-German classes, we were only allowed to take our jackets off if we asked in that language. Kinda hard for a 11-year-old who was still using Matilda to spell the word difficulty. In high school, skirts were to be no shorter than 12 inches off the floor. People wandered through the halls measuring. Bad for tall people, good for short people. In my elementary school, we weren't allowed to go inside during recess except to the bathroom. They had a door that led directly onto the field, for a maximum of 5 minutes. The rule doesn't sound too outrageous, except this was in Canada, where it would frequently get to -20°C, -4 freedom units. We also didn't get indoor recess until it reached -25°C, -13 freedom units. Forced to use a hair straightener for naturally curly hair in Japan, curly hair was not allowed. How dare you be the way that you are? Don't go into the Forbidden Forest unless you get in trouble and then are punished by having to go into the Forbidden Forest. In middle school there were upstairs and downstairs, meaning you can only go up the upstairs and down the downstairs. There would always be aides or teachers or whatever watching the stairs to make sure no one went the wrong way on the stairs. In elementary school we had a stoplight in the cafeteria that was linked to a decibel meter. Allegedly, if it got too loud during lunch it would go from green to yellow to red. Red meant silence for like 5 minutes. Any noise would cause you to miss recess. To never speak of the harvest sacrifice with outsiders. Weird small town traditions. No holding hands with your girlfriend or boyfriend was such a weird rule. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.